Morning guys, Friday the 11th of September. I was just reflecting on an email that I'd received yesterday. I picked it up last night actually, and one of those, emails that really sort of went straight to this quite incensed sort of place. There was something about the way it was written, how it was, and so forth, that really just, especially from somebody who I think I know relatively well. But yeah, I just didn't feel it. It left me feeling uncomfortable for various reasons. So, but what struck me was, so I had that initial emotion around it. I was quite annoyed. And was sort of then, in my mind, went through a process as to hang on, how will I reply? What will I say? And each time I thought about it, it shifted slightly in terms of how I would respond. And the one thing I always feel I'm quite good at is being quite, I'd say, diplomatic. I really do. I don't tend to be somebody who would react from my emotional place straight away. I recognise that it's quite important to just allow things to sit for a period of time, think through how you're going to respond, let that emotion dissipate for a while, and that can actually shift and change some of how you might respond and the detail you put in, or the content. Also, you're coming from a more, if you like, less emotional place, a more logical place as well. And I think that's quite important when we're communicating with anybody, and I think particularly with emails, because you can pick up tones and things that somebody else may not necessarily intend, or maybe they do, because I'm very astute, very aware, and I know myself well enough to know that if that sort of hit me a bit on some level, my gut feeling tells me that there was something else going on about that email that didn't feel right. But anyway, so taking that emotional content out to be able to communicate a message in a clearer, level-headed way is needed at times, because then the person on the receiving end is more likely to be, I think, clearer about what you're perhaps trying to say, and also they may then be less reactive to your communication if it hasn't got quite as much emotional intent or fire in it. And that's not just email, that goes for any communication in life. I think if you react from an emotional place, then that can have more chance to hurt and offend. And it may still be that you have a serious message that you want somebody to take on board, But what you're trying to do is to take that, the intent to hurt or offend. You're trying to take that out of it as much as you can. And certainly not, what you don't want to be doing is, retaliating like a tit for tat. So, on a number of courses I've worked on, various work I've done, there's a tool, a technique, which called the 4 S's, which is actually quite helpful when you're trying to communicate something to somebody. So you show your understanding, if you like, first of all, about where somebody else may be coming from. Even if you don't get every single thing about it, it's still better to start with that, because it straight away is leaving the conversation open. So, for example, I appreciate you may be upset and annoyed by whatever that is. Then state your intention. That's another. So, for example, however, that was not my intention, and then you sort of stick to your statement. So, as I said, that was not my intention, and then if it's appropriate, you can suggest a compromise way forward, or it may not be. It may be that it was enough to just show you understand something about where somebody might be coming from. You state what you want to say, and stick to that, and because it depends if something has to be or needs a negotiation or a compromise. It may just be that you're stating something that is needed, or you need to do, or needs to happen, but it does tend to enable a more distanced, so more logical response both ways, and also just giving it that bit of time. I mean, we've all responded in the heat of the moment. I remember a little while ago having a rant at one of my family members, and afterwards I knew that what I was trying to say to them was totally, the content was right. Had a message that I felt was important for them to hear. But because it came from a very highly charged emotional place, the way I did it was highly emotionally charged and actually quite angry at the time. In fact, the response it created from them was they got really angry and said they didn't want to speak to me at that point. And to be honest, although I knew the content of what I was saying was right, the emotion that was leading it wasn't helpful and didn't help. And I actually remember feeling quite bad in myself. Felt a bit guilty, but actually I think honestly more that I felt I'd probably let myself down, really, in the way I'd sort of dealt with it. So yeah, just sort of some sort of thoughts really on, I think, how important it is to, where possible, try and give a bit of space from the initial emotional charge, think it through a little bit more, and then decide how you want to respond or communicate. Sometimes you may give it space and time and actually think to yourself that you decide it's not actually going to create any real value or worth to respond and communicate. So the distance from it might enable you to make, a different decision. Sometimes what happens is when you really look at, how it maybe is coming across from another person's perspective and thinking about it that way, it can help you to think about what I call reframing the situation. So if your mind, when you say, I don't know, somebody communicates something, say via email, if your mind starts to almost go to a place of, they're doing this on purpose, they're, pulling you out on something, they're highlighting something, and you start to make up those thoughts in your own head, that can then fuel a more negative approach. So sometimes having that time frame, that bit of distance from it, can also enable you to just reframe and think through, well, hang on a minute, is this true? Is it factual? How do I know this for sure? Do I know this person has this intention 100%? And that can also, again, help to enable you to consider, well, maybe I'll respond in a slightly different way. So there are a number of tools and techniques to enable you to give that bit of distance from stuff and to be that little bit more, calmer and logical about it as well, to enable you to communicate the message that you want to communicate. So guys, it is Friday. Funky, fruity, freaky, fun Friday. So, frivolous Friday. Fabulous, fantastic Friday. So have any of those F's on this Friday, and have a great day. And shall speak to you later. Lots of love. Bye.